The United States of America has long been known as the land of opportunity. F1 has not only taken advantage of that, but blown it out the water. The desire for fast automobiles, thrills, and speed appears to be growing and outgrowing NASCAR and Indycar. How has Formula One become one of the fastest growing sports in America? What impact has it had on the country? Let's find out. Ex-Formula One driver Scott Speed believes that F1 is for diehards who like to read the newest engineering periodical and see what each team does differently each year. Well, this was long ago, before F1 gained ground in the US. It was hardly a ringing endorsement from one of the few American guys to ever grace a Formula One grid. However, that was not far from the truth. Fighting for a piece of the pie with IndyCar and NASCAR, by far the most popular motorsports in the US even to this day, was proving difficult for several reasons, including a lack of American presence on the grid, a lack of on-ground visibility for hosting races, and a time difference, particularly on the West Coast, that made following practices, qualifying sessions, and races an afterthought for swing viewers. This was all known to Liberty Media when they paid $4.4 billion for F1 in 2016. Rather than focusing on NASCAR, time zone issues, a lack of American drivers, or a lack of events in North America, they saw a series with an entire market to capture and an incredible opportunity. They acquired access to more than 400 million global fan bases by owning F1. There is a lot of interest in Europe, not least because of its rich history and the sheer number of tracks spread across Spain, Italy, France, Belgium, Holland, and other countries. And Asia, Suzuka, Japan is one of the sport's most iconic tracks. But the United States has been something of a forgotten cousin. Chase Carey, the Liberty Media CEO in 2016, believed that F1 had huge potential with multiple untapped opportunities. The company would be willing to work to enhance the racing experience and add new dimensions to the sport. Some might say he was a visionary. As previously stated, outside of F1's ardent fan base, floating spectators had long found it simple to skip through the races on the TV schedule. The ludicrous character of the 2005 United States Grand Prix in Indianapolis, which saw just 6 cars start the race owing to safety concerns over tires and the politics that went with it, made an impression on many. It was the only race held in the United States, and the 2005 event had made a joke of F1 on the other side of the Atlantic. 3 years later, Bernie Ecclestone, the former race director of Formula One, cancelled the race. There was no US Grand Prix in 2008, 9, 10, or 11. Rightfully, curiosity was decreasing. Let's see if we miss America. Ecclestone told Reuters it felt like a challenge as much as a question. He suggested that F1 should have 1 or 2 races in the United States. In truth, support for races in the United States did not end there. Mercedes Racing Vice President Norbert Haug responded in his press conference at the time, suggesting that a World Championship must be staged in the United States. At this moment, the United States had more F1 lovers than detractors. Ecclestone then expressed his dissatisfaction. The possibility for Vegas street circuit diminished while races like Singapore rose to the top of the list. The olive branch was extended in 2012, though, with the installation of the Circuit of the Americas in Texas, a track that drivers from all over the world enjoy competing on. Even at Suzuka's last time out, Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel mentioned Austin during one of their first media conferences. It demonstrates the influence Austin had in bringing folks back around. However, as prominent as the Texas track has become on the calendar, it was only the first fundamental stone that Liberty utilized to propel F1 to new heights in the United States. Liberty Media's audacious goal would require a lot of eyes, which America has enough of. One of the first major agreements they made was for ESPN to return F1 to its schedule in 2018. Estimates for the contract when it returned to screens were roughly $5 million each year. Fast forward to the most recent agreement reached by ESPN, and the Sports Business Journal stated that the popular network has agreed to a deal for $75 to $90 million every season. That's an 1,800% gain. Formula One is currently considered an American sport by radio hosts worldwide, and as much as the news from the United States may be startling, F1 desperately needs it. However, it's believed that 74 million households in the United States have a Netflix membership. That's more than double Lewis Hamilton's Instagram followers. Consider David Beckham's social stats. It's enormous, and Carey and Liberty's senior brass knew it. Series 1, broadcast in 2019, offered F1 a personality to people who previously disliked it. The paddock had become a personality all of a sudden. Viewers received a behind-the-scenes glimpse at the sport's greatest personalities. Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz were among the early stars to emerge, and Speed's claim that reading an engineering magazine was just for diehards was now defunct. It spiraled from there. Drive to Survive would become a trend of viral memes, and F1, Netflix, and Liberty executives would instantly prepare for future seasons. They had hit the jackpot. Morning Consult research indicated that almost 3 in 4 fans under the age of 45, 74% credited their fandom at least in part to Drive to Survive, emphasizing the series' game-changing influence. 57% of US people who identified as Formula One fans indicated they became fans during the last 5 years, with 26 becoming fans in the last year, the report added. 42% of fans between 18 and 34 indicated they joined in the last year. In the United States, 58% of adult F1 fans are under the age of 45, up from 49% in 2020. Interestingly, Eccleston dismissed the concept of concentrating on younger viewers and even daring to abandon the United States. Liberty, leaning into America, has been a huge success, especially monetarily. Increased fanaticism means more people want to view the product outside their ESPN-equipped televisions. Austin alone would not suffice, but when a 10-year contract to race in Miami surrounding Hard Rock Stadium was announced, the first installment debuted this season, the wheels were set in motion for growth. There was a grumble of dissatisfaction from several longtime supporters in Europe. Fears of Liberty Americanizing the sport have been fueled not just by Miami, but also by the raucous chatter from Vegas. However, the numbers are irrefutable. No market is exploding for F1 like America right now. Adding a night race in Las Vegas, passing renowned landmarks such as the Bellagio and Caesar's Palace, would only propel F1 to new heights. No other country today has as many races on its calendar as the United States. Even if they aren't clamoring for tickets, the number of people watching races demonstrates that Drive to Survive has done its job in introducing new fans to the sport. Take, for example, the 2021 series opener in Bahrain. According to ESPN data, an average of 879,000 people tuned in to watch it on ESPN2. According to ESPN figures, the second race of the season held in Italy drew 905,000 average views. Fast forward a few years and 1.3 million people are expected to tune in on average over the 2022 summer holiday. A year ago, ESPN averaged roughly 934,000 viewers during the same period. The expansion is apparent. The Miami Grand Prix, as mentioned earlier, debuted in May, with Bucs quarterback Tom Brady and tennis legend Serena Williams among those swinging by, drawing an average of 2.6 million viewers on ABC. That incredible sum is worthy of competing with NASCAR. It was the greatest audience ever for a live F1 telecast on US television. Meanwhile, amid all the hoopla surrounding the United States, Steiner feels that additional races in America are required since 3 is insufficient to do the country justice. Next season's Formula One calendar includes 3 Grand Prix in the United States, whereas this year's race weekends in Miami and Austin are already scheduled. Las Vegas GP will be added next year. This, however, is not enough for Gunther Steiner. The Haas F1 team chief also believes that additional American races should be added to the Formula One schedule. According to Steiner, America is large enough for the motorsport class to find adequate variety. Haas benefits significantly from the number of races held in the United States as an American racing stable. However, it was unsuccessful earlier this season in Miami. Do you feel that America's effect on Formula One is more progressive than regressive, as everyone believes? Please leave a remark.